I'm Phyllis from the Doll Corner, and welcome to my channel. And today I'm going to show you some of the one of the ways that I sort of organize my scraps. If I have a piece of fabric that's 2.5 inches square, I make a 2.5 inch square. If I can cut a 2.5 inch square, I will. If I can cut a piece 2.5 by 4.5 or 5, but I use the 4.5 for this particular block. Or if I have some of my blocks, like there was a little piece I had left over from a little doll's dress, and that's all I had left. So I will just take a 2.5 inch strip and just sew my pieces one after the other onto my strip. And then I'll cut them in half, and I end up with 2 blocks sewn together. Now I can take these ones and put them together in a 4-patch. Or if I wanted to, I could make a 9-patch. And of course it's scrappy. And then I would have to add another couple pieces on here. And then I would have a 9-patch. Or if I wanted to make it larger, I could just keep adding. But for this particular quilt, I'm taking my 2.5 and I sew them together, and then I sew a 2 by 4.5, and that gives me a block like this. And these blocks are very easy to put together. You can put them together like this, or you can put them together in rows like this, or you can put them like this. You could put a, show you on here, you could take and put a sashing between each one. That. Is that showing up? No. So there's just so many different ways. Or you can sew them together and make a 4-patch out of them. And I've got some 4-patches here that I set out. And I put the dark green between them for sashing. A dark color or a light color, just depends on what color you would like. But the dark seems to make them really stand out. Now I would switch that around so that I got 2 pinks together. But anyway, you play around with it. Or if you wanted to, you could put them on point, like this. Am I getting that right? I just work like that. And or if I wanted to, I could make every other block a solid. So there's so many different, and this is only a couple ways you could do it, but it's however you would like to change them up. So it's easy to do. You can use them as leaders and lenders, and they come out. First thing you know, you have enough to get together to make a quilt. I have only about 10 more of these blocks to put together to have enough to make a full quilt. And this block ends up, I'll measure it, it's 8 by 8, well, about 7.5 probably for each block when they're finished. But you could make it any size you wanted. If you had if you wanted 5-inch squares here, then you would need a 9.5-inch here. So you know, you'd have a larger block, and it would be, but it's just that I have these little pieces, and I like to save them and put them together. And then when I've used up my 2.5-inch pieces, and the pieces I have that's smaller, then I go to my crumb box and I start sewing pieces together. And when I will take, now I serge these together, and it saves a lot of clipping. I have this one piece, so then when I get that, I just go down and sew the smaller pieces together. And then I have pieces like this. I probably would switch that this way. So, this is a bigger piece, so then I could add this on here and this up here some way. I don't want my two yellow pieces there together. And then just sew this on here. And then when I get a certain, well, if I wanted to do a 5-inch square, say a 4x4 block, like patch, like 4 patch like this, I would cut a 5-inch square out of this, and another, that would give me two 5-inch blocks, and then I would sew them together probably with a plain piece, solid. Not necessarily, but I like to break it up a little bit with a solid, and then I could put a border around these as well. Or I could make this into a whatever size. So I have a bunch of crumbs all kind of half sewn together here. I've got, that was probably a block that didn't turn out just right. There's another few little scraps. So you can use all kinds of small scraps. You just have to be careful when you're sewing them together that you don't, if you're cutting out a block, you want to leave enough for your seam allowance. You don't want to be sewing a seam on here, on the seam. These are a couple of blocks that didn't quite square up right. And it's surprising how fast these work up. Here's another piece. And you see, I cut my 5-inch square out of here. Then I take this and use it as another piece. Sew it onto something else. Or you could, any kind of a block. If you wanted a triangle, you could cut triangles out of here. Or if you wanted a hexagon, I have made quilts with hexagons with scraps like this. And it ended up looking pretty good. I squared it off, did my hexagon, and then put my 60-degree angle on each corner, and then I was square. So there's just no end to it. So if you have nothing or want to do something someday and just you want to sew something, just sew scraps together. And that's kind of, I call it my mindless sewing, because you don't want to put two pieces the same together. I came kind of close there. But this will probably go in one block and this will maybe in another. So, and even if they are in the same block, it doesn't matter. It's a scrappy quilt. Or you make cushion tops or handbags. I remember when my daughters were young, I made them a patchwork skirt. I took maybe 5-6-inch square blocks and sewed them together and made them a little gathered skirt. And it was quite cute. So there's just all kinds of ways to do things. So if you found some of these tips helpful, give me a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel. Leave me a comment. If you have any questions, just email me at dollfashion77@gmail.com. I also give a bonnet pattern away. If you would like that, ask for it. I have my basic doll pattern book on my Etsy shop. And please subscribe, help my channel grow, touch the bell to be notified, and thanks for watching. Bye now.